Mi gente, it's that time again. It's time for another Cafecito break, and we have an amazing guest for you today. So take this moment right now as we're warming up the algorithm, the feed. Tell your friend, tell your mother, your father. Activate the Bochinche hotline and let the community know that it's time for Cafecito break. We have another fantastic interview in line for you. Today's guest is Miguel Angel Ferrer, and he is the creator, the genius behind a very beautiful movie that I'm excited to tell you more about, but we're going to hear it directly from the source. Bienvenido. Hello, Miguel. How are you?
Good, good. And you? Thank you for having me.
So, congratulations, Miguel. You have quite an impressive resume, and I've noticed that with your history, you've delved into telling stories of the heart, stories de corazón, stories de la patria, right? Stories that anchor family and love and the beauty of living in a blue collar life that's filled with struggles that many people around the world can identify with. I think that's impressive, especially in a time where people are trying to figure out where they see themselves, what they can connect to, and a lot of people are not feeling very inspired by what they're seeing out there visually. And what you are bringing and brought to the audiences is definitely refreshing and captivating. And I would love you to let the audience know what it is exactly that I'm talking about. Let us know about your movie, what inspired it, and why that story.
Well, the film is titled The Shadow of the Sun, and it was a film that was shot in Venezuela in 18 days. It tells the story of two brothers that live in Acarigua, a city in the inland empire of Venezuela, and they join forces in order to go to a musical contest in the capital, in Caracas, in order to win a prize and get some cash and get them out of their financial situation and their poverty. The older brother's a singer and the younger brother's a writer. And the twist and the interesting part of the story is that this younger brother is deaf. So he writes this song and asks his older brother to sing it so that, and to be his voice so that the world can finally hear him. And the story was inspired by my travels through the interior of Venezuela with our producer, Will Romero. And after 14 years of not going to Venezuela, re-encountering my country through the people and meeting these people that make miracles happen every single day, no matter what the obstacle. They make things that are impossible possible, and they do it with a smile, and they do it with a fervor and this zest for life, and they make their dreams and their mission and their goals come true. True heroes, heroes without capes, that I've seen in the interior of Venezuela, and they've shown me that Venezuelans have something that I called the invincible spirit. And a lot of our communities in Latin America and different countries have those kinds of people. And I when I saw this, I said, why isn't this on the big screen? Why haven't I seen a film, a Venezuelan film that shows this? And how do I get it? Not, how do I tell the story in Venezuela but take it to an international audience?
That is one of the things that I really like about what I'm hearing, especially these days when if people are only learning about Venezuela and what's happening through the news, then they're not getting the full story, right? Because the news is attention getting. And sometimes, unfortunately, the news may not paint our gente in the best light, and so people are confused. So for you to take a person through that lens and bring them up close and personal and highlight what is the beauty of your culture, of your gente, that is definitely refreshing. Before I ask you the next question, for the people who want to see the film, how can they see it?
Well, right now we're in our theatrical run. We're about to finish. Today's our last day in LA. We've been here for about a week and a half. And then hopefully very soon we'll have news of our screenings in New York. And on the East Coast, we already did Miami and South Florida, and that went really well. And um, and then after that, it's hopefully going to be on a streamer. But I think that the best way to find out where is at theshadowofthesun.com, or at the shadow of the sun in Instagram, or theshadowofthesun.com on the web, or my own Instagram, El Miguel Ferrer. That's where we put up all the updates. And I know a lot of people that haven't been able to see it in the theaters are waiting to see it, when it comes out in streaming.
Has the welcoming of your film, has it gotten increased interest ever since, let's go there, with the arrest of Maduro?
Yeah, a little bit. It's every time that Venezuela's in the news, it's people start looking and are interested, and also the algorithm starts working. Like, well, if you clicked on 4 News about this subject, maybe you like this movie. So there's a little bit of that, and I we welcome it in a way that we want to be able to show people who Venezuelans really are, and also what they've gone through. But through the lens of these two brothers who are reaching an impossible dream, or want to reach an impossible dream, and then how there is uh, no easy way for any artist in Venezuela to get to live out of their craft. There is no, like here in LA, we have a community of deaf actors and a theater called Deaf West, which is where Troy Couture comes from, and it looks like Broadway. And you go to one of those productions and it's Broadway style shit. I mean, it's crazy. It's amazing. And these actors are phenomenal. So you have a deaf young man or a deaf young woman here in the States, they have that. They have a community. But in Venezuela, there isn't. And in a lot of our countries, there isn't. So how does a Venezuelan that wants a deaf a young man who wants to be a lyricist, or wants to be a writer, or wants to be an actor, and somebody also that's able, that's fully able, how do they make it happen? Well, the movie shows you. And how do they make it happen? With fervor, with happiness, with hope, and sometimes with pain. And that's what the movie, part of the one of the colors that the movie paints with.
I've heard doctors say that they can treat a patient for 20, 30 years, and yet a song can shift a human being in a way that they're not able to in 20 years of potentially treating someone. Music is magical. How do you feel as the artist seeing this manifest, and telling it through music, which is such a beautiful way that music connects people, and then you're taking it to that deeper layer, like, well, then how do two human beings connect when maybe one person is fluid and they can speak and communicate, and then the other one is deaf? Like, how does that communication happen? Most people in everyday life have trouble just communicating, period. And this is yet another barrier to that communication, that is asking for, the moment is asking for magic to be created, and for faith, right? Which is what drives so many people who are in the arts, or want to create, or want to do good for human beings. That granito of faith that's always present as the story moves forward.
Mhm. Well, I think that music is a universal language. It is music and math, really. And when you come to start getting the nitty gritty, like music is math, right? But music has always been a big part of my life, even though I'm not a musician. I'm a little bit of a frustrating musician. I've always wanted to play violin and piano, but I never had the calling for it as a career. My sister was a guitar player, is a guitar player. Tita, the guitar player in the movie, is based on my sister. And my mom was a dancer. My mom's Cuban, so she was a ballet, zarzuela, flamenco dancer. So music has always been a big part of my life, and I know that it's very unifying, like you said, and it's very therapeutic, and it can change lives forever. And I think that this is part of the reason why, in the backstory of Alex, the backstory that you don't see in the film, you know, this is why he wants to be a lyricist. I mean, the kid's a genius. He has read over 10,000 books, and that's why he's able to write lyrically. Still, he's deaf and he's able to write lyrically. And then you ask yourself, like, but how? How did? Well, that's the magic and the genius of somebody that wants to put all their talent and all their heart and their effort into something. They don't know what's impossible and what's not possible. They just do it, right? And like many Venezuelans do it, and like many Venezuelans in this film did it. Um, and music is the thing that unifies them and brings them together as a family, and shows them that together they're stronger than separate.
Also too, young people or people who have maybe challenges in one area, they are highly advanced in ways that we take for granted. And also too, sometimes they become our greatest teachers because we take so much for granted. And then you see someone who has what people might perceive the cards stacked against them, and they're able to, when God plants a dream in your heart, and if you all you see is that, there's no stopping you.
Mhm. Amen. Hmm. Amen.
Now, I'm curious to if you could tell the audience a little bit about you, and what led you even to this moment, like if you could share a little bit of your background, and what you were up to before this manifested as this is what I'm going to create.
I was born and raised in Venezuela. My mom's Cuban, my dad's Spanish from Galicia. And I moved to the States when I was 12. I lived in Miami 11 years, and then I moved to LA. And I've been here 18 years. Um, and came out here to be a director. And I mean, a lot of people don't know. And I mean, and I tell this to the students, right? Like, my first job here was washing dishes. Like, and I came here with no connections and with like no, a little bit of money in my pocket. My first apartment was a studio. I didn't have a bed. I didn't even have a pillow. All I needed was internet and a place and electricity. That's it. And then I started working in Nat Geo as a cameraman. And then I went on to Warner Brothers to do post production, Warner Brothers Television. Started directing commercials and slowly made my way through the industry. And then I started directing narrative shorts, and which is what I've always wanted to do. And through that process of directing the shorts, I went to Venezuela. I did music videos there. And through my producer, Will Romero, convinced me to go down there. I didn't have a passport, a Venezuelan passport. I had to go through from Colombia, Cucuta, cross by foot, kind of sneak into my own country. He picks me up, 22-hour journey. That's its own movie. And then like sneak out of the country, back out again, because I didn't have a passport. So you can't leave without a valid Venezuelan passport. And all these things, they molded me, and they made such an impression on me, especially that first trip, meeting these people in Venezuela that make miracles, in the interior of Venezuela that make miracles, to just to put chicken on the table at night. And I said, I need to put this in a movie. And I've been incredibly fortunate throughout my career to have a lot of people that have lent me a hand. um, and for some one reason or another, maybe is my track and I did track and field when I was young, and I was very disciplined and perseverant, but that kind of trickled over to film. So I'm relentless when something pulls me and inspires me, and I can convince people to come and help me join this dream, and I also join their dream as well, and their projects and their goals. So it's been a wonderful journey, and the movie has imitated life. Art has imitated life a lot, and life has imitated the art, back and forth. And we can talk for hours about that, but I feel very fortunate to be here and to be able to talk about the film and show it to people in the United States in a cinema.
Something that you mentioned. Well, first of all, I just have to say that you are an inspiring individual. So I'm really grateful that we're doing this interview, and that it says something when you are saying, look, I was here starting from scratch. I come from the music television industry, and sometimes you know, I had team members that went the long way, and then you had someone whose father had the great connection and they have the penthouse in the city somewhere, and they just magically showed up on the team. And I'm not saying that as, because I think something that I don't like about some of the culture in American is that todo mundo está pendiente que lo que está pasando over there, and everybody's paying attention to what's happening over here and over there. And what I've learned in those settings is you have an opportunity, keep your eyes on the prize, and you'll meet good people along the way who will align with your interests and open doors. But sometimes people are so focused on the things that they didn't have, or the silver spoon that they weren't born with. And I feel like maybe if we have a limited time on earth, I want to be focused on what can be created and not what I didn't have to start playing in this game. I mean, look at where you are right now. That's beautiful, and I'm pretty sure that your people también sienten orgullo over that.
Thank you, thank you. And I think it's important, and I say it mostly when I'm talking to students and when I'm talking to like people that are also in the industry. That, and thank you for saying that, about the inspiration thing, because we're here for, to gain knowledge and to do our thing, but also to give back and to pass it down. And I wholeheartedly believe that part of my job in that journey and in this journey is to say, oye, like, don't come over here telling me that you can't do it, because I started here and I did it. And there's people that I know that worked on this movie that had a 10 times less than what I had, 10 times less. And they're where I'm at, or they're maybe even better, or they're on their way. And people that we know, all these stories across the world of people that come out of nowhere with nothing, and they make a life for themselves and for their family. They literally changed their life. And I'm a big proponent of this. The movie is about chasing dreams and about chasing your dream. And however impossible it may seem, or other people might tell you, because this is what I say: you gotta chase your dream. You gotta walk the path towards your dream, because when you do that, if you want to even get close to achieving your dream, you have to inherently become the best version of yourself in order to get there. And if you become the best version of yourself, you are becoming the best version of yourself for you, and you are making yourself better. You're making your family better. You're making your community better, and your country better, and the world better. And if we all went there, and you want to be a radio host, you want to be a pastry shop owner, you want to be a painter, you want to be a filmmaker, you want to be an actor, you want to have a business, you walk that path, and the world is going to be all the better for it. And I think that that's what I hope people get out of the movie, and they, they walk their path, and whatever I can do to help that path, I'm always going to be there.
That's really beautiful. Now, something that I wanted to ask you, when you are back in your homeland after all of these years of not being there, and as you mentioned, you snuck in there, and that in and of itself tells a great other story. How did you feel reconnecting with the land, seeing it again, feeling it in your totality, seeing the people, the aromas, the food?
I mean, it was a bit of a dream come true. I'd always dreamt about going back to Venezuela and to shoot film there. I've always known that Venezuela is like the New Zealand of the filmically, the New Zealand of the Americas. We got it all. We got snow, we got jungle, we got forests, we got deserts, we got ton. I mean, we got so many things. You can shoot. You can literally shoot the Lord of the Rings in Venezuela. So, um, so going back there and feeling and seeing the araguanes, which is the national tree, it's the yellow tree that's on the poster and on the trailer. Eating the food off the side of the road in el kiosco, la parrillada, and it's like this full meal, and it's amazing, and it's savory, and it was $5. Uh, and then, you know, and then the warmth that people, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from LA, and I came to the border. Oh, you came to the border? Oh my God, come here, let's take a picture, you know, and and then going to Caracas, seeing El Avila, the mountain that I grew up with, which is part of the capital city. Um, it was quite humbling, really, and also, there's a sense of nostalgia because Venezuela used to be the fourth richest country in the world, you know, um, and Venezuelans lived a bountiful life, of beaches, adventure, economic, a good economy because of all the resources that we've had. Forget the oil, the minerals, the gold, the tourism, we are Venezuela is privileged in a geographical location because it's at the top of South America, the south of the Caribbean. We have more Caribbean beaches than any other place in the Caribbean. Some people think like it's Cuba because it's long, but we have more coastline than anybody else, Caribbean coastline. And then you go there and you go, and when I went there for the first time and I saw it, I was like, man, like, where has this gone? And look at the riches and the treasures of the people that I've just met, that I see here. And like, this movie is a love letter to that, a love letter to the Venezuelan spirit, to not lose hope, and that there is going to be a better tomorrow for us.
That's so beautiful. I had the privilege of interviewing some of the Venezuelan people to get their reactions on how they felt about Maduro being arrested. And really, really, my takeaways were how hopeful people were feeling at the opportunity, at the thought of just coming back home. And I'm going to echo what I said to them that day, that I would be holding that vision with them and with all the people who are aching to go back to visit their homeland and to see their families. I cannot imagine what that must be and how that must have felt for so many people who have been exiled, millions of people, for like about 26 years.
Yep.
That's a long time. That's a long time. Um, and another reason why I feel really grateful that we're having this conversation. And we're gonna keep the family updated, because when you come here to New York, I want to see it live in the living color on the screen.
100%, 100%, for sure.
Definitivamente. As we wind down this conversation, is there a message, something that I haven't asked you that you would like to leave our audience with?
This movie was made for, by Venezuelans, for Venezuelans, and for the world. It's a movie about impossible dreams that, through our perseverance and our sheer will, sometimes turn into possible realities. And it's a movie that I hope that inspires the audience that sees it, and that inspires you to live the life that you've always dreamed of. Um, so I hope that you see it, and I hope that when you see it, you're gonna find out the true meaning of the title of The Shadow of the Sun.
All right, mi gente, The Shadow of the Sun. Keep that in mind, because when it comes to New York, we're all going to support this movie and this love letter to Venezuela. Thank you again. This is Rosangel Pérez of Cafecito Break, with the privilege of interviewing Miguel Angel Ferrer of this beautiful tribute to Venezuela. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.